Okay, welcome back team. It's been a minute since we've done a video. Wasn't going to do a video on this thing, but figured it's a perfect example of FTE completely stock to, pretty serious little build. We're aiming UFI 23L, some plus 70s, big front mount, airbox, big clutch. Should go in the mid to low 300s, pretty comfortable. But we'll give you a rundown on the vehicle, take it out for a test drive, do a couple little fourth gear 60Ks up to about 100K kind of little pulls, get a bit of an idea of how the thing drives as it is now. Then we'll get stuck into doing all the work, put a uni chip in this one as well, forgot that, uni chip obviously for tuning it, and then come back to it once she's back on the rollers and we'll go through it all. Let's go. Okay, so as I said, this thing is completely stock. So I think it's got about 330,000 Ks on it. Stock front mount, airbox, intercooler, turbo, injectors, everything. The one that's a little bit different about this fella though is, one, it's on 35s and this is a 100 series, not a 105, but it is a 5-speed manual. So bit of a rare one. Funnily enough, we've got two of them at the moment. We've got this one in here, it's a 5-speed manual, and we've got another one sitting out the front as well, a stretch dual cab that's getting a bit of work done to it as well. But like I said, thought this is a good opportunity to kind of go through this thing start to finish in what you'd need to get one of these from being standard up into that, mid 300 horsepower mark. We've just done a base run on it now. After chatting with the customer, his main concern is, I didn't want it to be lazy, I wanted it to be nice and responsive, but I wanted to make over 300 horsepower. Now, I pretty much said to him, if this thing is untuned as it is bulk stock, I will guarantee this is going to be more responsive once we do the turbo and injectors and everything. The standard tune in these things is so lazy. They just, they're not that nice to drive in standard form. One of these with a uni chip and a tune, totally different ball game. Then we add some injectors, bigger turbo, all those kind of goodies, complete different ball game again. But as it is, rolled in right now, 123 horsepower, round about 275, 280 newton meters. But we can see how slow and doughy this thing is. So it's not making, peak torque until about 2.5, 2.7, but it's kind of hitting it around 2.2, 2.3 is where it kind of comes up and settles out. Okay, that's at around 13 pound of boost. Super clean AFRs, all those kind of usual giddies. But like I said, this thing's going to get a 23L, some plus 70s, big front mount, airbox that works. Actually, we might get some parts out and go through them now with you guys too before we start. Alrighty, so there we have it. Our big HPD, so that is the Series 2, the Ultimate, the big front mount on it. We also have a very nice PSICO airbox for this thing. Obviously, it's got the cover on the acrylic, but that'll come off. UFI 23L. There, big boy, fresh set of fitting kit. That is your injector seals, rock cover gasket, some diesel central plus 70s or DC4s, whatever you want to call it, and a full set of brand new genuine Toyota feed lines. We do also have a genuine Toyota spill line, your return line that connects up all the injectors inside the rock cover. That's coming as well, it's not here. We're still waiting on a couple of little parts like the clutch and a few bits and pieces, but that is the majority of the stuff that's going to go on it. I'm a little concerned straight away that our standard old Safari snorkel may be a hold-up. As you can imagine, this isn't the cheapest exercise. The customer has spent a lot of money on this. He's already done a lot of upgrades to this thing, full suspension, wheels, tyres, everything, getting it ready for his trip to the Cape. So another $1,000 plus on a snorkel. We're going to try and hold off, see how it goes. What we'll probably end up doing is doing some runs with it. Then we will take the lid, not off that airbox, but the lid off this airbox. See how much of a restriction that snorkel is doing, and then he's potentially going to look at swapping it out for either a nice big 4-inch snorkel or a Safari R-Max, big plastic one on there that's going to just flow a lot better. But for now, we will get it off on the dyno, take it for a bit of a road test, show you guys just how slow these things are from accelerating from like 50 to 100, 110. Then we'll get stuck into this thing, get ripping into it. Let's go. All right, we're out now on the old abandoned road, so we're just going to give this thing a little bit of a run. We're in 4th gear now, cruising along, and as soon as we get to about 50 k's an hour, we'll go foot flat or just do a run. Righto, so we are foot flat now. Foot flat, trying to accelerate. We're up on boost. guys can see that. We're gonna make it to 100 by the end of the road. Let's find out. And we just went 100 there. So going off the clock on the video there, that looks to be around 20 seconds, I think. I'll go back, check. I'll try and put a little clock up on the video, but I'm not very smart at this stuff, so we'll see. Anyway, let's get back to the shop and get stuck into this thing. Alrighty, we're back. This is about a week later after the video first started. We were out here, we did the dyno run on the thing, brought it out here, took it for a test run down the old abandoned road over here. We're back now, we've got all the work done, so we're gonna do another couple of runs from that, fourth gear, 50 Ks up to about 100 Ks an hour or so, and just give you a brief overview of what we've done to the car. Alrighty, so we're just gonna give you a brief overview of what's kind of needed for your FTE if you wanted to get into that 300, 350 realm. Okay, so this one came in, was completely standard. The HPD Series 2 front mount has gone on this fella. It's got a UFI 23L, Psycho airbox, that's cool fabrication have made up a 4-inch intake down to the turbo and a new bit of a pipe here to join up to the HPD intercooler, as that pipe work obviously is to suit the standard turbo, which we've changed. It then got a set of Diesel Central DC4 injectors in it, brand new Toyota genuine fuel lines, new spill rail inside the head there, which connects with the injectors and comes back out the side here. All new rock cover gaskets, new seals where the injectors go through, the whole lot. It also got a bit of a clean. It got the valve clearances checked while we're in there. This airbox has been connected up to the, stock little Safari snorkel. We spoke to the customer about that one and said that he's more than likely going to have to upgrade to the R-Max, the bigger one, or like a 4-inch or a 5-inch snorkel, whatever he wanted. The budget was a little bit tight. He didn't really want to go ahead with that unless he absolutely had to. As we suspected, on the lowest tune this thing can do, which was about 260 horsepower, we finished tuning it, then took the lid off it. It picked up 15 horsepower and made 3 pound of extra boost. So that snorkel, big restriction at this power level. 150 horsepower, which is what they make standard. Snorkel, I'm sure, is absolutely fine. Now, this car is running some big 35s, so this is 100 series. These big tires, this thing came in at about 123 horsepower, ended up around 340-ish. I guarantee these tires are robbing a fair bit of power. On the dyno, I took some videos last night. I'll try and crop them in. You could see how much these tread blocks are just rolling over, and they were just chewing up, and they had rubber flicking off all the back of them. So the tires were absolutely killing us on the rollers. And I'm pretty sure I took probably a couple of 1,000 Ks worth of life out of those bad boys. But that's what happens when you're making, 800, 900 Newton meters worth of torque and 350, give or take, horsepower out of these things. So what I'm going to do now, take it for a drive down the road. The other week we did a few 50K an hour, 4th gear, up to about 100K an hour runs. So what I'll try and do, if I can work it out, is kind of lay them over each other and have it as it was standard versus how the thing is now. Righto, so we're back in the car. Just wanted to take this thing for a bit of a drive and shows just how nice and smooth the thing is. Comes on, very easy. No big smoke out the back. That's just partial throttle, just kind of accelerating and rolling away as you would. Nice, very smooth power delivery of these FTEs. When we tune them, we kind of really focus on, we don't so much just want a massive big peak torque number and then dropping away to nothing. We want that torque to come on nice and smooth and just hold for as long as we can, so the car just feels nice and strong. As you accelerate, this thing just keeps pulling. There's no real big aggressive hit and then it just noses over and doesn't have anything to carry on. This thing just comes on nice and smooth and just keeps accelerating. As long as you have your foot flat, this thing just keeps pulling. So we'll do a little 4th gear run now, 50 Ks an hour. Gonna get into it a little bit. So we're foot flat now. Very easy to get to that speed. Rightio, so I'm gonna go back to the shop now. So I'm pretty sure the standard run was like 20 seconds and now it does it in about 8 seconds, which is about right because we've gone from 300 Newton meters to around 800 Newton meters, so more than double the amount of power and torque, which means we more than halve the amount of time this car now takes to accelerate. But it's very nice to drive, very smooth. You can see now we just squeeze the throttle and she's just straight up on boost and wants to party. So we'll get her back to the shop now, go through the dyno results. Okay, we're back at the shop, finished up our road tune, finished up the drivability tuning. So a lot of the times the dyno work is only half the tuning. That's wide open throttle, you know, maximum power, maximum effort. Drivability, a lot of that we like to do actually out on the road, which is what we've just gone and done. Just going through now, just buttoning up a few things. It still needs a good wash and a detail and a clean before the customer comes and picks it up. We're just going through all these little hoses and stuff on there and just putting zip ties on everything. They don't have any barb fittings on any of those little map sensor lines. So, you know, 10, 15 pounds standard, they're fine, they hold together. When we're running 35 pound, they tend to blow off. So we're just gonna go through, zip tie all those up, give everything a clean up, tuck the wiring away, get into the cab. I'll show you this rat nest in here that I've created. Get in here, finish up all this wiring, mount the uni chip up. There's really no room for these things, so we end up pulling the ECU out and kind of tucking them up in behind there and just mounting them in there, run the wiring through. Here's map select, which is here. Probably not going to mount that anywhere, might just leave him a little bit of wire, run it out here and just sit it there so he can put it wherever he wants. But that's your 5 map select there. Button all that up, put it all back in the car. Everything as far as performance and tuning and everything is all done, so I'm happy with how it performed, happy with how it drives. Couple of things we're just obviously going to touch base with the customer is his snorkel. So the Safari snorkel did become a restriction at around that 250 horsepower mark. Like I said, I think I touched on it before. That's why the air filter box lid is off. So nothing wrong with the airbox at all. It's flowing absolutely mint. Just the little snorkel can't keep up. So turbos do not like intake restriction. You've got to think, as hard as that turbo is sucking and drawing the air in, that same amount of force is working on the compressor wheel to pull that wheel out of the front of the turbo, okay? So we want to protect the turbo, protect the thrust bearings and everything in there. The best high volume, high flow amount of air that we can give that turbo, the better. The other thing is they respond quicker. The more volume they have there to grab and pull in, the better they respond. But as far as power and torque goes, so where this thing ended up, come in 123, his daily tune's 310, the power tune's 340, 342 horsepower. So nice improvement over how this thing rolled in. We can see big wide torque curve, which is something that we really try to do a lot with these things. So the way you can tune them, and it's all to do with our air fuel ratios and kind of our timing adjustments, but essentially you can have these things. See our AFRs down here, we can see, you know, we're hitting off the bottom, we come up, we roll around 18 to 1 on that big tune, then we dip down into the 16s. If we had that flat kind of 16 to 1 the whole way across, this torque curve naturally would come up, hit a lot harder, but then it would just fall the whole way as the power curve kind of climbs with it. I kind of like setting them up like this, so that if we look at how much average torque this thing's making, yes, other ones, you know, might be making 900, 950 peak here and then fall. This thing's making over 800 newton meters from 2000 RPM all the way up to 3000 RPM. So big, wide, usable torque there, and it just feels so good on the road. You floor it, it just pulls and pulls and pulls and just keeps going. Doesn't feel like it wants to lay over. And that, if you look at all Toyota torque curves, the way they kind of tune their cars from factory, that's how they try and set them up as well. So we want to try and replicate that. We just want to make it obviously way better than factory. He does also have a tune below this, which I think is around 270-ish horsepower, give or take, and around that 600 newton meter mark. So it's a good, you know, 30 to 40 horsepower jump between each tune, and around 80 to 100 newton meter kind of jump. So it's around the 600, then he jumps up into the 700s, then he jumps up into that 800, 850 mark. So nothing crazy. The motor more than handles it, no dramas. The beauty then, of course, with the switch this around so you can see me ugly face. The beauty then, of course, with the 5 map select is that, you know, if you have got a few ton behind this thing and you're really working it quite hard, then you just dial it down to that lower tune. So on his kind of toe tune, it comes up and it's like 22 to 1 and dips down to 20 to 1 at the end of the run. So nice and clean, nice and safe. And this is with plus 70, so big injectors, big turbo, still handles it no dramas. The customer was super concerned about this thing being, you know, laggy or lazy down low, and I went out and basically said, mate, I'll guarantee this thing is going to drive better everywhere across the rev range, and it will not be any lazier than the standard setup, okay? Because obviously this thing come in untuned. That's our standard torque curve there. We can see how doughy it is. Doesn't really make good torque until 22. We're now making our good torque at 2000, or even starting literally double. So before it was, you know, 150 newton meters, now we're starting at 300. So everywhere across the board, this thing has gained. Yeah, very good result, very good. So like I said, real brief one on this thing. Just wanted to go through those few basic things that you would need for an FTE to get you into that 300, 350 horsepower kind of area. And yeah, if you guys enjoy and you want a bit more technical video of this, we have got some other ones we took on another car. I just never got around to putting a video together, but we can potentially go through a lot more in depth as to what we've done and what we need. But basic overview: diesel central, UFI, PSI code, HPD, NPC clutch, Unichip, 340, 350 horsepower all day, every day. Hope you guys enjoy. Like, subscribe, all that kind of crap. See you on the next one.